Hello everyone, are you ready? Yeah! So in this video, I'm going to talk about what is the role of muscle movement in the ventilation of the human lungs. It is the muscle contraction that causes ventilation of the lungs by the twin processes of inhalation and exhalation. Okay, so now just pause the video and do this. What did I just do? Can you do it? Yes. The first one was inhalation. When you do inhalation, what do you feel? Don't you feel that you inhale the air inside your lungs? Or you feel something that you are filling your chest, with air. So it is getting bigger and bigger. Okay, that's what you feel. What about how about the exhalation? Yes, when you do exhalation, then you release the air outside, and you feel that you are releasing a kind of contraction in your chest. Who is doing this? Not you, your muscles. The muscles which are responsible for doing inhalation and exhalation are called intercostal muscles. External, here we go, external intercostal muscles and internal intercostal muscle. So one of them is responsible for inhalation, and the other one is responsible for exhalation. The good thing is that you can remember this by knowing what is exactly going on. You have to figure out, you have to think about first the meaning of inhalation, and after that what is exactly happening. In inhalation, you inhale. It means that you send the air into your chest. Okay, so you send the air into your chest. That's inhalation. And what happens to the muscles once you are doing inhalation? Muscles will expand your volume. So that's why they are called external intercostal muscles. So all of them are intercostal, but those intercostal there are two sets of intercostal, external and internal. Why do we say external intercostal muscles? Because they are doing their job externally, or by moving outward. So these muscles are doing externally, so making your chest have more volume. So that's why it's called external intercostal muscle. They send your chest and they increase the volume of your chest, and they do external job. Between the ribs, which move the rib cage up and out. So that's why we call it external. They are doing in a way of externally. How about the other part of your chest? It is called diaphragm. Diaphragm has this situation normally, and once it is in this situation, means that it is in the highest capacity of allowing the air goes into your chest. Radial muscle fibers in the diaphragm, which is the sheath-like structure that separates the thorax from the abdomen. This area is thorax, and this area is abdomen. So this is this diaphragm is here and is separating your thorax from abdomen. So this is what you can see from a bigger magnification, and then your intercostal muscles. So let's move to the other part, which is once you do exhalation, what happens? In exhalation, as you can see, the abdomen wall muscles, which can push organs in the abdomen in and up. So if you go back to the previous slide, you will see that the diaphragm was here, but then it was moved up to here. So you have a little upward from the diaphragm. Diaphragm does this, and then what happens? It decreases the volume of your chest by moving upward. It decreases the volume of your chest by moving upward. What else is necessary that reducing the volume of your chest? Because in exhalation, the air should go out. So in internal intercostal muscle cells, between the ribs, internal intercostal muscle between the ribs, they move the rib cage down and in. In this exhalation time, the internal intercostal muscles are making your chest release the air to the outside, and it reduces the volume of your chest by going in. So that's why exhalation, but internal intercostal muscle. So there is a kind of opposite way of memorizing. If it is exhalation, then internal. If it is inhalation, then external muscle cells. That's a good tip. Okay? Don't forget to remember that. Good. So, let's move. There are 2 videos. I'm going to play those and watch together.
To understand how we breathe using the lungs, we've got to have some understanding of pressure. Now let's look at a simple example. Imagine a little food bag, the sort of thing you might pack your sandwiches in. Imagine that we pull on this in every direction. We know that it is then going to fill with air as a consequence. Now what's happening? Well, we've increased the volume, and what this has done is it has decreased the pressure inside of the bag. Now that decrease in pressure immediately balances itself out by filling the bag with air to then rebalance that pressure. Now let's contrast this with a slightly different example. Remember, with this food bag example, an increase in volume will decrease the pressure inside. Now let's look at a balloon. Now with a balloon, we put air inside and the balloon will expand. An increase in pressure increases the volume. People often make the mistake of thinking that with your lungs, you force air inside and that makes your rib cage, your chest expand. And that's not true. Your lungs behave the same as the food bag example, that what we are doing is we are forcing it into a bigger shape, and that forces the air to enter. Let's have a look at the structure of the lungs here. Now, first of all, we've got to think about the diaphragm. What will happen is the muscles of the diaphragm will contract and move down. Let's look a little bit more closely at what that is. This sheet of muscle will contract, and that makes it move downwards. So this is going to help to increase the volume inside of the thoracic cavity. Next, let's think what's happening with the muscles that are attached to your rib cage. The external intercostal muscles are going to contract, and this will pull your rib cage upwards and outwards. So Altogether, these movements will create an increase in volume. An increase in volume decreases the pressure inside, and just like the food bag example, this causes air to enter the lungs. By contrast, when you breathe outwards, the diaphragm will then relax, which allows it to move upwards. At the same time, the internal intercostal muscles will contract. At the same time, the external intercostal muscles will relax. And this forces the rib cage to move downwards and inwards. Altogether, there is now an increase in pressure which decreases the volume inside of the thoracic cavity. As a consequence, we are squeezing the volume smaller, we are going to force air outwards. Let's look at a possible exam question you could get on this. Which row describes the movement of the intercostal muscles and the diaphragm when we inhale?
You have to pause the video right now and find the answer, okay? Pause the video. Did you get it right? What was your answer?
That the answer is B. When we inhale a breath, the internal intercostal muscles relax, the external intercostal muscles contract, and the diaphragm will contract.
The two lungs are the primary organs of the respiratory system. They sit to the left and right of the heart, within a space called the thoracic cavity. The cavity is protected by the rib cage. A sheet of muscle, called the diaphragm, serves as its floor and separates it from the abdominal cavity below. Other parts of the respiratory system, such as the trachea or windpipe and bronchi, conduct air to the lungs, while the pleural membranes and the pleural fluid allow the lungs to move smoothly within the cavity. The process of breathing, or respiration, is divided into two distinct phases. The first phase is called inspiration, or inhaling. When the lungs inhale, the diaphragm contracts and pulls downward. At the same time, the muscles between the ribs contract and pull upward. This increases the size of the thoracic cavity and decreases the pressure inside. As a result, air rushes in and fills the lungs. The second phase is called expiration, or exhaling. When the lungs exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and the volume of the thoracic cavity decreases, while the pressure within it increases. As a result, the lungs contract and air is forced out.